let's make a section for classes. Classes should probably be below structs because classes can contain an agglomeration of structs. So what we'll do is we'll use a C for class, duplicate it 4 times like this, make a note of what the C is for. I could make a note that, classes in this code base mean that it's an agglomeration of structs with like functions, or it's functions and data mixed together. Guess I could do that. I like how clean this is. I'd like not to pollute the headers. I like these clean kind of header designs. So in here I can put this classes Alright, so just making a note here. Sorry you couldn't see that. Just making a note of what this section is all about. Then we can kind of decorate that a little bit. Make some space down here. Alright, now we're about ready to take all of this junk. We got a lot of indentation here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to whittle this down to where it actually all fits in, where I want it to fit. But let's take this, let's copy it. Actually, hold on. So we should probably color it, copy it, make sure. Wait, yes? No? What the hell? Okay. So this is obviously very clumsy and... Oh, I kind of see what happened here. Okay, let's just copy this. We know this is the last part. Let's just make sure it's all been highlighted. Let's go into here. Let's just dump it right there. I gotta fix some indentation, but that's good for now. And then let's try to clean this up. We're gonna run it, make sure it's still working. Alright, so now no compilation errors, but we at least want this indented one more level so that we can kind of identify that it belongs to the classes section. So we add that indentation, and now we have a little bit of a problem on our hand where we gotta kind of do some manual cleanup here. And this is kind of the part where you may highly disagree with doing this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 indentations here. And not really sure it should be. Not sure this section should stand out like this boldly. It's just that my default code for wrapping stuff in comments kind of likes to do this. I'm going to argue against, you know, not making that comment so bold. Oh, you can't see that. And this is why this is not the best tutorial series. It's not really a tutorial series, I'm just kind of recording what I'm doing. So same thing here. We're gonna backspace 4. So we got this problem here. There's a few ways we could solve it. Now we could just say like this, like we could have a little bit of indirection here and go U32 pix. And I'm not against this. I think this is okay. It doesn't really defeat the purpose of having this obnoxious thing is still here. And now I get the extra benefit of being able to click on this single token and see its relationship to this. I'm okay with that. But we're just gonna rearrange this U32 pix. Right? If we wanted to be like really weird about it, we could do this. Right? Get some wonky indentation. And then we could try to like make everything kind of line up a little bit better. There we go. And that just kind of helps me. So this, writing it like this just kind of helps me identify that all of these are the same. So I can look at right here like that, and then I can easily see pix width, pix height. So putting it in kind of this weird grid kind of look helps me more easily identify syntax errors and whatnot. Obviously, it makes the code a little bit more... in some ways, the code is a little bit more confusing to look at. In other ways, when I'm thinking about like how I want the code to look, I want it to look a certain way to where I can glance over it and see any obvious problems very quickly. Understanding is obviously going to come from reading things in a linear order and taking time to comprehend it. So I'm not worried about formatting it correctly for reading it like that, just because that's going to take a lot of effort to comprehend no matter what. So it's a lower priority than just formatting in a way where I can just easily look at things, make sure they line up, and make sure I haven't made any gross mistakes. Alright, let's keep scrolling up. So I had this... we're just going to get rid of that. That is what I'm using it for, but I don't know. Can get rid of that participle. Two. So you notice I'm kind of like... So the reason I kind of write like this sometimes is I want to kind of like tablify the data. Like I want to... It's easier to read a chart than it is to read a sentence, or at least for me. Maybe my, you know, comprehension of words sucks, I guess. But it's easier for me to read this than it was to read the sentence. Also, we have room for that AKA if we wanted to put that back in now that we've kind of like reformatted that. So it was this right here. Yeah, why don't we take that, put it back. We could actually make a little note down here. Yeah, that takes up a lot of room. That's just letting me know that these and these are conceptually the same variable, but within the code, we always want to use this one right here. Let's keep going up and keep on just cleaning some things up. And okay, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, just because of the there's so much density in here that what we could do. We could make some room here, but then we've destroyed that. Okay, so we gotta put that back. So the variable declaration here needs to be somewhere. I did do it like this, just so that I could have everything line up once again. But we could put the masks somewhere else. And we could just say, right, we could just have mask RGB. And if we really wanted to, why not? No, let's not do that. Okay. Changed my mind. I believe we can have a constant keyword now these days, right? Because ES6 allows the const keyword. So let's take advantage of that. We should probably write a little bit more ES6 than we've been writing, just because I'm already using WebGL2. You know, why not? So we're gonna take these. We'll make a little note that this is where they're going back. And you can also like make a little note here, like you could make a note: red, green, blue, alpha. I don't know how I feel about that, but is this short enough to like get it where we need it? Barely. I just saved a little bit of space. You know what? Let's just okay, mask red, mask green, mask blue, mask alpha. I'm going to make these lowercase so that the R, G, B, and A kind of stand out a little bit more. And we can also make notes. Mask red. Right, mask green, mask blue, and then mask alpha. Now, the thing is that we're kind of like re-engineering this like pre-made snippet. So there is the potential that as we are kind of like refactoring that we could break this. you know, we went through all the trouble to like make sure this code was already valid before we like pasted it in here. So that's kind of bothersome. So we do really want to make sure, yeah, okay, that looks right, right? Red, green, blue, alpha, and since we're, you know, making sure we always write it in this order, red, green, blue, alpha, that also helps us when we're trying to check if things are right. Red, green, blue, alpha, red, green, blue, and alpha in our masks, right? Red, green, blue, alpha, this is the order in which they're stacked within the, when you're bit packing them. And those bytes all are in the right spots, right? We can see this diagonal being drawn between them. And then, you know, we have this little help right here, R, and then the G's, and the B's, and the A's. So, right, so I can check to see that this column and this row kind of intersect at A, right? Because there's an A here, and we see where this A and this A intersect, right? It's like a battleship thing. So green, we can draw green down here like this. Look at green right here, and we do see that FF is at that intersection, so that's good. So just having some visual confirmation that the code is correct can save you a lot of headaches in the future when you're trying to debug something, or it'll just save you from having to debug in the first place if you're lucky. And then we got this var keyword is for this one down here. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's keep moving. Pixel array, borrowed. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I see why I did this, because I wanted stuff to like kind of line up like this, and I was already really pushing it, it seems, when I wrote this to try to like get everything to fit. So let's just break this into some more lines. I gotta say, this looks ugly. Now I can do this. I could break this apart like this. Now, one of the problems with breaking it apart this way is that you're gonna need more sophisticated search methods. Like if you want to find every instance of borrowed pointer U32 pix dot pixel array, you're gonna need a more complicated regex to look for this in the code. And so do we really, what's more important to us, that this lines up nicely or that we can like use a regex to search through the code? Yeah, I don't know. You know, the OCD side of me says line it all up. That's the most important part, but right? Because if I don't line it up, then it's easier to like miss where stuff has gone wrong. Like if this variable and this, if this variable here doesn't match this variable here, right? Then right, we have a problem. We have some type of error in our code. But now, just by reading this code without highlighting anything, it's a little bit less obvious that there's a mistake. The connection that this thing needs to be this thing isn't as obvious because it's not lined up. Obviously, it's obvious if you read the code, but yeah, I think I'm gonna favor writing it like this, just so that I can see all of them lined up nicely. I've got a red, green, blue, alpha, red, green, blue, and alpha. Okay, cool. Okay, red, green, blue, alpha, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's keep on scrolling up and kind of keep on reorganizing some things. So here we have, up here, we're running out of room. So we could put the description above the variable like that. That is kind of ugly. Let's just keep it like that for now. I'm not gonna care too much. Okay, so this, I don't know, I can't see what this is unless I scroll way the hell up. So, we're gonna make a note of what this is. Right, and that's gonna help us just read, kind of like know where we are in the code a little bit easier as we're kind of like scrolling through it. Because I can't tell unless I take the time to scroll way up there. So I just want to know what this closing brace belongs to. We could also do the same thing for the uni-get, the uniform get. So I'm just gonna like go over here and function. I don't really care about the number of, I don't really care about the parameters for this. That's why I put the dot dot dot. Really, I just want to know what is the function that this is closing. And is it even closing a function? Because maybe it's not, right? So we'll do that. And then we'll kind of close this section off. And since we're kind of doing that with everything, okay, we've already done it with that function. So let's go back up and start cleaning up some more. Looks like we can just grab this, backspace a little bit, and keep going. False should be exactly negative. Well, the thing here with this is, I don't really care about the error message, I just care that I can find it. So, I'm going to just take the current date, 2020, 05/20, and 1:52 a.m. And that's a good enough error message for me. Because it's, unless I have other people working on this project, and I have a lot of other people working on this project with me, it's very unlikely that, you know, this exact same error message is going to pop up twice in the code. Now, I mean, that technique might not work for you if you're a deep AI computer and you are coding code at like 1,000,000 miles per second. Maybe it still could, because then you could just put like nanoseconds in the timestamp or something. I don't know. But, you know, it's probably not my place to give computers advice. You know, if our robot overlords, you know, take over, I better know my place. Alright, so 4, so dash line I4, and it's 64 columns. The reason why I need a shortcut for that one is getting these dashed lines to have the symmetry I want in them can be kind of difficult. Okay, so this is the bit mask, or technically it could be a byte mask, because, right, this is 1 byte right here. It's RGBA bullshit going on here. Maybe it's time to change that. What we really could do, so there's like an extra step of indirection here that we don't, there's an extra step of indirection right here we don't need. We don't even need this temp variable if, like, what is the purpose of underscore RGBA? And I think it's just to have that extra indirection, but I don't think it actually serves any other, yeah, it's just, this RGBA is just here to go easy on the garbage collector. It's just, so it's some unnecessary indirection, which is just there to help me kind of like understand what's going on here. Because, right, this you can't really tell it's RGB and A unless you're using, unless you have this variable in the intermediary. So let's change this around a little bit. Let's, what we could do, we can keep some of the same variable names, and can we still get that to line up? You think we could, get, Yeah, I don't know about that. So output red, output green, blue, and alpha. And this is the pixel array, and pixel array is this, and we're actually going to use that, aren't we? So what we could do is we could just get rid of some of that mental indirection here, because this A is just temporary anyways. So you might want like pixel array, and then I is the component index, so we could get rid of some of that mental indirection and just, right, so we're just kind of doing a little trade-off here. So you can't really see how everything lines up here, but now we see the component and the pixel array, and then we don't need to use we can take this, we can keep this comment here, right? We could just use that for some information. And then V is the U32 value, which you're way up here. We even have enough room to like kind of like extract that as well. Do I really need this bit mask variable? I mean, is there any extra benefit here? I guess it does kind of self document, especially like I know I'm really good at making mistakes like this, right? Like forgetting which one to use. So I am gonna keep the BM for bit mask. So that way, if I see a variable that's supposed to be a bit mask and it's used with the wrong operator, it'll be very obvious to me that I made a mistake. So I'm going to keep this so that the comments and the variable names will help me kind of detect any like obvious mistakes in the code. Okay, so U32 var, we can comment that out too. And, right, and we can still keep these nice little comments here, right? So, oh god, I don't know how long I've been recording for. I'm going to stop.